Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be talking about what can sometimes be the driving force behind why I take pictures and what can compel me to go out onto the streets to produce a body of work or a series of images. Apart from my natural appetite to want to photograph the urban environment, my desire to do so is often aroused by a flash of inspiration that I have gained from something I've discovered away from the photographic world. I've talked before about picture taking for me being an artistic reaction to being in a city. The light, shadows and geometry are the main materials that enable me to create images that reflect my personality, to take the view in front of me and make a personal impression of it. Fine art photography is largely the creative vision of a photographer at work, and its chief aim is one of artistic appeal. It's largely unconcerned with documenting reality. Photographic ideas can spring from the most unlikely of sources, and it's surprising how something seemingly disconnected can be the motivator behind a body of work. Let's take a look at how art forms such as painting, cinema and even literature can create a spark that can ignite our creativity and set us on the path to inspired picture taking. First on the easel when considering the art world as a big inspiration are the paintings of Giorgio de Chirico. De Chirico was an Italian artist born in Greece who in 1910 founded the metaphysical art movement, which influenced the Surrealists. His dreamlike works with sharp contrasts of light and shadow had a slightly sinister and mysterious quality to them, with a haunting mood. His near-empty cityscapes are characterized by the bright daylight of Mediterranean cities, and in a flat, simple style he painted the towers, elongated shadows, mannequins and trains that he arranged to create images of forlornness and emptiness. Powerful stuff and inspiration for me in the bucket load. It wasn't long before I began to experiment in this style with my camera. Another painter who adopted the style was Mario Serroni, the difference here being his static, oversized forms. He became committed to the ideal of a fusion of decoration and architecture. Edward Hopper and Caravaggio have also been a big influence on my photographs. With his realist paintings, Hopper created subdued dramas out of commonplace subjects layered with poetic meaning. I love the silent spaces of his melancholic worlds, where he paid particular attention to the geometrical design and the placement of his human figures, in proper balance with their environment. This is a big thing for me, and I've always been obsessed about where people should appear in the frame as regards composition when shooting the street. With the 16th century painter Caravaggio, it's all about the technique of chiaroscuro, the strong contrast and use of deep variations and subtle gradations of light and shade. Caravaggio made the technique a dominant stylistic element, transfixing subjects in bright shafts of light and darkening shadows. In the introduction to my book Fine Art Street Photography, I wrote, "With different times of day come different moods. I like how cool and clear the light can be in the morning, creating sharp lines of shadow and jewel-like highlights. It penetrates the space between the towering buildings and generates a dazzling display of intricate patterns on every surface. And in the early evening, the transition from light to dark is a gradual one, and the light becomes very soft and alluring. This is like painting with light, and it's one of my favourite photographic techniques. Check out my video on the Twilight Zone to learn more." Other painters who are a continuing influence on me are Georges Braque and his Cubist work, and the expressionist Lionel Feininger. Now it might seem a rather unlikely influence, but literature has played its part too. When reading a novel, story or poem, we are forced to use our mind's eye to create the physical space we're being told about and colour it accordingly. Part of the enjoyment of reading is that we're all different and we'll all imagine the described scene and its contents in our own personal way. I often use places that are familiar to me and adjust them to fit the story. My love of photographing the urban environment has furnished my imagination with a large supply of city scenes and locations. These are the kinds of images that one might imagine, for example, when reading one of the more dystopian novels by the great English writer J.G. Ballard, whose work has long inspired me. The distinctiveness of his work has given rise to the adjective Ballardian, defined by the Collins English Dictionary as resembling or suggestive of the conditions described in J.G. Ballard's novels and stories, especially dystopian modernity, bleak man-made landscapes, and the psychological effects of technological, social, or environmental developments. Reading such books inspires me to want to create representations of the worlds described in them. Others I can mention are Junichiro Tanazaki's In Praise of Shadows, which is an enchanting essay on aesthetics and the use of space in buildings. It describes the combination of the shadows in traditional Japanese interiors and the dazzling light of the modern age. And also, the poetry of Emily Dickinson was a surprising influence on me too, and inspired pictures about how the light affects the urban environment. Her poem A Certain Slant of Light was instrumental in my working towards a particular style of photography. Well, of course, the world of film and TV is a great place for inspiration, and I have my favourite movies, scenes and on-screen moments that have influenced me. I have been captivated by how some directors and cinematographers use location, light and colour to create striking scenes. Bernardo Bertolucci's 1970 film The Conformist has some very stylish scenes in it. Filmed in locations throughout Rome and Paris, cinematographer Vittorio Storaro made use of 1930s art and decor and the huge halls and brutalist architecture of the ruling elite. Here are some of my pictures that were inspired by it. Jacques Tati's magnificent 1967 film Playtime was a major inspiration for me, with the director playing the lead character, Monsieur Hulot. Shot on 70mm, the work is notable for its enormous set, which Tati had specially built for the film. A sort of futuristic, hyper-consumerist Paris. Glass and steel is everywhere, and although the light is often quite flat, the subtle colours and geometry make for a great look. The predominant colours are shades of grey, blue, black, and greyish white. And here are some of my pictures inspired by it. Sogo Ishii's delectably shot Labyrinth of Dreams and Ida from the Polish director Paweł Pawlikowski are films that transfixed me. I found them both extraordinarily beautiful, with some of the most incredible compositions. Influence have also come from the work of Federico Fellini, who had a very distinctive style, blending fantasy and the Baroque. Notable works include La Dolce Vita and 8½, with some of the most incredible compositions that I learned an awful lot from when composing my images. I hope this video has given you an idea of where to look for inspiration for your photography away from the usual channels. Studying the work of the great photographers, of course, is one of the best things you can do to help you improve. But in terms of developing your own photographic style, feeding your imagination from outside the world of photography can be a real eye-opener. Let me know what inspires you to take pictures in the comments below. Check out my book Fine Art Street Photography for more on this subject and much more on how to turn the urban environment into striking images. The link is in the description to the video below. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.